Let's bring in the CEO of the parent company, Richard Smith of Realogy. And Mr. Smith, you got to tell me what your game plan is. We hear that the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, is absolutely furious. They already have, they're already bruising for a fight here.
Well, they should be. This is not about the builders. It's not about the realtors. This is about the consumer. What everyone seems to be fairly dismissive of is the average home in this country, if we proceed with the tax bill as proposed, will lose about 10% of their value. So if, in fact, I get a $2,600 benefit on the income tax side, but I lose 10 to 12% of the value of my home, I may very well be underwater in my equity. So this is all about the consumer and the loss of value at the end of the day.
Are you worried that if this cap on the mortgage interest rate deduction is lowered, because right now it is in that plan, are you concerned that this will disincentivize first-time home buyers?
Well, it may very well disincentivize all home buyers. Again, I keep emphasizing, and this is critically important to the industry, and I think it's most important to the consumer, is the value of their home. If we abandon the long-standing tax policy of supporting home ownership in this country, it's going to have unintended consequences. We experienced that in 2006 with a great deflation in value. We don't need to knowingly go through that again. The unintended consequences are going to be damaging to the U.S. economy.
I happen to agree with you, but I need to play devil's advocate here. When we're talking about a fair tax system, and I'm not sure, you just heard my conversation with Congressman Kelly. I'm just not sure that that's where this plan so far is going, although it may change. Let me play devil's advocate and say that if you're looking at fairness in the tax code, wouldn't that be that nobody gets any privilege, that there is no sector where the government is picking a winner and allowing money to flow to housing to incentivize people to buy a home, that in a perfect world, no sector gets incentivized?
Well, that could be, but that horse left the barn a long time ago. In 1912, when the tax policy was drafted, and in 1913, when it became apparent that mortgage interest deduction would continue to encourage homeownership, this country decided then and continues to believe today that homeownership is good for the U.S. economy. And it's 15 to 18% of the gross domestic product of this country. To suddenly abandon that in exchange for creating this opportunity for people, renters, to be just as advantaged as homeowners sets a new stage and a new course for this country, and I don't think that's the intent. Homeownership is good for this country. It's good for our tax system. And to abandon that, I think, is misguided. What
do you think's going on here in these conversations? Apparently, New Jersey Congressman Tom MacArthur, who is a Republican, says he's now in support of the bills limiting the deduction for state and local property taxes at $10,000. But last week, when it first came out, he was pushing to raise that limit. Do you think there's some horse trading going on here that may really hurt the home builders' situation and, of course, the realtors?
I think home ownership is the latest cookie jar that the government has decided to tap into to try to figure out how to fill these holes in the tax policy. This is not the place for that. The unintended consequence is going to be damaging not only to the state of New Jersey, which is the highest property tax state in the country, but to every state and to every consumer.
I pay it. Don't love it. But as we look at the home builder exchange-traded funds, they're all either close to their all-time highs or just hovering sort of below it. The one that I look at is NAIL, N-A-I-L, and that is what you would call a real bullish indicator. This ETF, if it moves higher on the home builders, you get 3 times the increase. And you can see that it has certainly dropped off last week when the news came out. But we'll be watching all of this. Will you come back, sir? We really appreciate your perspective as sort of the major overseer of all of these great realty companies.
It would be a pleasure. Thank you.
Richard Smith, Realogy Chairman and CEO.